Hey and welcome, Miss Kira Speaks. Please do your girl a huge favor and stick around till the end of this video. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. We're here for another episode of Snowfall Season 6, Episode 6. I didn't write down the title, so it'll be somewhere on the screen. So as the episode opens, we are dealing with the aftermath of the last episode. Teddy is shook. And he calls his ex and he's like, listen, I got a police car outside to relocate you. So basically, you need to take yourself and our son and you need to go. She wants to know what happened. He's like, well, my father was murdered and the person responsible said that you and our son was next. So needless to say, she does listen and she agrees to go. I think it was Havemeyer that came in and told Teddy that they found the location, that it has been burned to the ground, and they're doing what they have to do. And I thought, and I said it in the last recap, that it was the dad's house, but clearly not. Teddy's telling him that he doesn't want any other agencies involved, and he wants to find Franklin. So dude is trying to talk to him and get him to take a beat, but Teddy, he's being irrational. He's on his, can't stop, won't stop. Franklin, V, and her mom, they're in Arizona and they're about to catch a flight out. And Franklin says he's gonna, go take a minute and go call Sissy and make sure she's okay. Cassandra says she is not getting on that plane, but V's like, let's go to LA first and then make a decision and, we'll figure it out. Mama says it's about to be scorched earth time and it's time for an exit plan. Franklin is coming undone. Tell Franklin whatever you want, and then basically they're gonna vanish, and she has passports for the both of them. Mama says she's been making plans since V called for help, and V's upset about it. Franklin comes back and Cassandra's like, we're not getting on that plane. I think she said they're not going back to LA and that they would get in contact with him once Franklin figured this whole thing and got everything sorted out. And Franklin looks at V, he's like, is that what you want? Nope, she says she gonna stick beside him. She says she doesn't want her and the baby to be on the run because Cassandra's worried about prison or even worse, death. And then V, she gets on her soapbox for a little minute. She's like, he hasn't lied. He's the first person to put me first. He's gonna deliver her the life she wants. So basically she goes with Franklin, and your girl, I'm still not convinced. Although at this point, V really had to be rational. She couldn't just leave Franklin. She had to make it look good. But I think in the end, especially after what happens at the end of this episode, V is she might not go with Cassandra, but she gonna get the hell out of here. Gustavo, we see him in the scene and he's numb as Tony, the DEA guy, is going off. And then later on, we see him in a scene with his lady. He's telling her that Tony doesn't care about the KGB. He's frustrated. He's ready to shut the whole thing down and send Gustavo to jail. And she's asking him, what about Franklin? We shall see. Jerome hasn't been home since he left Louie in the last episode in the bar or the club, whatever it is. And Louie's worried. She's cussing out the security, asking where, he's been lately, the rundown. When they hear a crash outside, they go outside and it's Jerome. He done ran into something talking about, oops. He is drunk boots. And Louie's like, you know what? We're going to talk in the morning because I'm not doing this with you right now. It was funny because Louie's like, Jerome's insane. So Unc is telling her that he is packing his ditty bag and he is going to Jamaica. He is done. He's basically done with the street shit. And she wants to know, what is she supposed to do with that? He says the money ain't worth it. And I was clapping for Unc because Unc has been tired for a few seasons now. And Louie hasn't been hearing him out. And that's basically what this whole conversation is. He says he stayed in it for her because if he didn't, she'd be dead. It ain't your fault you're effed up, got no way to be happy, and it's my fault for trying to fix you. You don't mean it. Oh, sis. Yeah, he does. And I personally was Team Jerome up until he took Black Diamond out. But in this moment, Uncle Jerome was really tugging on my heartstrings. And from then, we already knew how this episode was going to go. When Franklin and V gets back, he tells her basically that she made the right decision, but it's time for them to have a meeting because he knows Teddy is going to be ready to retaliate. Leon's like, Teddy can try to come to the projects if he wants. And Sissy was like, so like, was this your game plan all along? Franklin says he was tired of waiting. He has him where he wants him. He'll be rattled and vulnerable. And basically, he's going to be looking for them. So Franklin again is trying to get Sissy out of Dodge, and Sissy says she's not going she's not going nowhere. She's not going to no stash house, and she's not hiding in no hotel. She is going to stay there in the projects with Leon and Wanda. He tries to convince her of otherwise, and Leon's basically like, dude, I got her. In a bold move, Teddy goes to pay Ruben a visit, a knock at his door, and Ruben lets him on in. I was like, where is this thing going? Teddy, again, he is tired, and in short, he says, before you explode my world and I have to kill you, yikes, he says, tell your people you got it wrong and that it was a dead end. He's going on about it's a tough life that they live, and Teddy is also talking about himself being in the CIA and the life that they go through, and it's a whole blah to the blah. Now, when Teddy came in, he asked if he was making coffee, and so Ruben makes him coffee. And this is why I'm saying this. And Teddy, he actually drinks it. And I was like, and then when Teddy drank it, he like paused for a second. And I thought that Ruben might have poisoned him. But unless it's slow acting and we're going to see something on the next episode, I guess not. Teddy's basically like, walk away from it all with whoever size 10s those are next to the side of the bed. He tells him I guess he's going to come back tomorrow. And if he stays, that he knows he wants his help. But basically, if you leave, you're a dead man. And I'm like, this is a tricky situation because you can't trust Teddy. To me, I feel like Ruben is going to be dead either way. But it's like, I was hoping Ruben would be, more than Teddy. But Teddy is, everybody's kind of, we'll get to it later. But Teddy is kind of on that same wavelength as Franklin, where he's tired and he's like, very on a tick, boom. So the next morning, Louie apologizes that their life has become this. She says she knew that Franklin wouldn't be happy when she went behind his back, but she didn't know that Teddy would do this and that it would bring them to where they are now. Why can't I be happy where we were? Money, power, respect. Come on, Lil' Kim. No, but seriously, Unc had been trying to tell her this for the last couple of seasons. He's been trying to get her to get out, but she just wanted to expand. And now basically, as she's having this speech, she's going to get into why she feels the way she does. She says she's been running things, but all the customers see is him. I said, ego is a powerful thing. And, she's talking about people barely looking at her, or maybe them giving her a wink. And he's like, is that enough to die over? And she says, yes, self-worth. She says she hears he's done, but she needs more time. And I was like, she says she's scared of Teddy, but Unc says he ain't. So she says she, basically wants to get their funds out of Panama. And then, I don't know. Then she gets a page from Scully because she's supposed to do a drop. And Unc says he'll do it. Unc says he'll do it. He says, get your mind right, but he can't stay. And sir, it was like dead man walking at this point, because you should have just packed your little ditty bag and got on a plane and went to Jamaica, because it's just one drop is all it takes. So we get a scene with Teddy and Parissa, and child, do we really care? She wants to know his plan. And what I wish is that Ruben had got her and she was gone and we didn't have to talk about them anymore. So who does Gustavo go with? Well, not the DEA, the CIA, or even the KGB. Franklin Saint is his choice. The two of them, they meet up, and Franklin tells Gustavo, listen, I'm sure that Teddy is willing to get on board to have you set me up. He is the only one that can help him. And Gustavo's like, you remember that 10 mil you promised me? I kind of need that like right now. Franklin said he was going to give it to him after, but if he needs it right now, it's going to have to be 1 mil. Gustavo, at this point, he's ready to take that. He's just also gonna need passports for him and his family. One more thing, he's gotta kill Teddy. He cannot leave Teddy alive to come after him and his family once he betrays him. And Franklin's like, no problem. Easiest promise I can make you. And Franklin, Let's not make promises. Let's not make promises just yet. Whew, this episode was heating up. I had so many notes. So the dudes that were outside the stable, you know, stalking Louie out, they finally lay eyes on her. They see her, they snatch her up, and they take that ass back to Kane. Franklin is on his way to do the drop with Leon when Kane calls him and tells him, I caught a big fish. Come see. So at this location, Kane, he's got Louie tied up and he wants her to give up Buckley. But she knows as soon as she does, she's going to be good as gone. So he starts going on about how his girl wants to move, and he begged her to move there after he got out. And he told her she'd be safe. But after the stunt that Louie pulled, it's been drama all because of her. So basically he's like, tell me where he is. When she doesn't answer, he's got Louie on the floor and he's kicking her until she throws up. And I said, I know this is the drug game, but watching these men with the violence against women, Snowfall, it's a lot. You know, he goes out and he leaves and she's crying, and then he ends up coming back with Franklin. Franklin wants to know what he's here for. Kane figured basically once he's got what he needs that, you know, Franklin might want to do the honors. And Franklin's like, nah, that's all you, bruh. I said, I know that's right, Franklin. Like, have a little. Not just yet. So Kane starts telling a story of his people being black farmers. Whole time he's doing something in the background. He says one summer, his grandfather says it's his turn to brand the cows. It's about protecting their family, their livelihood, a legacy. And you know where this is going. And Kane's like, you know what I want. And Louie, she just spits at his feet. And then Kane laughs and he proceeds to brand her one time, brand her 2 times till she's got that K on her chest. And I said, ouch. Child, it was just brutal. And he says that he's going to have to break her. And then he's got some dudes that are fresh out. And I said, that is disgusting. So Franklin gets him to give, you know, the 2 of them the room. And Kane steps out and Franklin tells her to give up Buckley and pray for a quick death. Because what they have planned. And then Louie's like, you did this to me. And I said, really, Louie? And Franklin, he goes on and walks away. And this is where I must say that much like Teddy, Louie and Franklin is 2 sides of the same coin. Like, they both just stubborn and bullheaded and they want what they want. Franklin did want out and Louie not so much, but they're both to blame in this situation, truly. So before he gets out the door, she's like, fine, I'll help you with Teddy. Sorry, I already got it in. And he finally goes out the door and she's crying because she knows she messed up. And I was feeling some type of way for our guy Franklin because, like I said, you know, for a few minutes in the show, because like I said, last recap, Franklin is basically losing the essence of who he was when he first started in this game. It has turned him, I guess, into what he needed to be, which is like a heartless, cold, killer or a bitch ass, as Uncle Rome would say. So Leon, he basically wants to do a project council for them to govern themselves. And I said, Leon, this ain't the way. You saw what you were doing with your people. And so like this is not the solution. And then we get a little laugh because we hear Wanda in the background because Leon's outside getting his hair braided. And Wanda's like, Lee, Franklin's on the phone. He sounds stressed out. I was like, yeah, girl, he is stressed out. So when Leon and Franklin get together, or I know he might have told him on the phone, I think. Franklin is basically, because I think Franklin paged Jerome earlier after leaving Louie like that, and he wasn't answering. So he's trying to get Leon to page Uncle Rome, hit him up with those 911s. Unc, he returns that phone call to Leon. He's over at Scully's, making the drop. And he's like, I'm ready to bring the whole cavalry in. I said, maybe perhaps you should have. He pages Buckley, who's busy getting high. And then he tells Scully what's going on. Unc, he arrives at this meeting. He's ready to blow Franklin's head off. But Franklin was trying to do it the smart way because he's like, if I had given you the location, you would have gone in there guns blazing and it'd have been a whole mess. And I said, thank you, Franklin, because I really had that side eye going. So there's 2 guards and they're outside of Kane's place. And one of them wants to read and the other one is ready to run a train on Louie. And he's like, who wants to run a train? The other guy that, wants to read, he's like, who wants to run a train on a hoe that's crying? And I said, thank you, sir. Thank you, because this is just really, it's just nasty and disgusting. So we see Percy, the pimp, is in the spot and he likes what he sees. Franklin comes back and the one guy, he wants to check the car, and the other guy's like, nah, let him go. And I was like, is he in on it? I think that's the one that wanted to read the book. So the reader is what I called him. He says he's going to go to the store and he's asking the other guy, does he want to go? And, the perv, I wrote my notes, and he stays. So Franklin, he opens the trunk and he lets Unc out. They take out that one pervy guard and they're in. Percy is asking Louie about Buckley. And then Louie, she tries to, throw some money at the situation, but that doesn't work. He sits down in the chair and he's gross. He wants her to undress. And he's just sitting there, ready to watch. And then Hood Louie checks in. And I'm not going to say what she said because it was kind of nasty. But she sees him for his trauma and him have possibly being abused as a young boy himself. And it seems like it might have worked for a moment, but nope. I forgot what he called her, loquacious or something like that. And I said, please do not let them assault this woman on TV. Franklin comes in and he can hear Louie screaming when he comes in. And he takes out a few folks. It's about to be a shootout. Unc, he calls for Leon. Scully's also there with them. And he's screaming, Louie, Louie. And I think at that point, Kane had came in, or whoever was in the room was trying to get her to shut up. And Louie's like, aim at the door. And he does just that. And he takes Percy out and comes on in. So now Kane and Jerome are face to face. And Kane, he's got that strap to Louie's head. So Kane gives his whole speech and then basically it's like, we could just call it even. And Unc is like, nah, nigga. And then they start to shooting. Louie gets low and we don't see Kane, but Jerome is down. So now she's over the body and she's crying, and Franklin and Leon finally walk in, and I was hoping that they got there a little sooner. And Louie's crying and screaming and she's begging for him to get up, and Franklin comes in. He's like, Unc, child. It was gut wrenching. Leon, he takes a knee. Franklin, he calls him a couple more times. He sits down in a chair and he cries. We see Scully, he's over there. He's tearing up. And you could just see that everybody was really, really hurt. And that's basically where the episode ends. Baby, when I say my eyeballs were wet, how did you guys like the episode? I can get so unrealistic when it comes to these shows. Like, I know it's a drug show, but Manboy told us in another season that basically they were all going to turn on Franklin, and they did. And Scully said basically they need to come together as a family. So I did love seeing them come together as a family for one last time, unfortunately, to try and save Louie. Franklin, he shows some heart this episode, and Unc slightly redeemed himself this episode, but it's a little too late. All for the love of Louie. I said, poor sissy. Before I get out of here, I just want to take a minute to say, and I know John Singleton, and I think that Joseph, who is the actor who plays Uncle Jerome, had basically said this is a drug game. There's no happy ending. And so I just want to say Joseph, aka Uncle Jerome, Unc, our forever Unc, that he is a extraordinary actor, and he acted his ass off this series. He kind of pissed us off a little towards the end, but they made us kind of love him again as he's trying to go to Jamaica and get out at this episode. And we just, every time he tries to go, we know that Unc is not going to make it. So R.I.P. Uncle Rome. And it looks like from the upcoming preview that Louie is about to be on some shit next episode. But anywho, drop your thoughts and theories down in the comments, or just let me know that you stopped by. The season is over, halfway done. Oh, join me back here for episode 7. Peace.